Right, everybody, it's our Klaus here, and I've got a really interesting video for you. I was recently watching the movie Get Out, and outside of it being an excellent film that covers a very wide range of topics, it does focus largely around mind control, hypnosis. Of course, racism plays into a good portion of the way people interpret it, but I really want to focus on one line here. And again, being a movie centering around concepts such as mind control, it's not too far of a reach to think then that there would be hidden insights and predictive programming hidden throughout this movie. And so this line here I want to show you strictly for educational purposes is going to serve as a baseline, and then I want to try to break down a lot of the other things that I feel this movie's trying to convey. All right, so let's take a quick listen to this line again for educational purposes.
The next 9/11 is gonna be on some geriatric shit.
All right, so that's Chris, the main character's buddy, Rod Williams, and he's saying that the next 9/11 is going to be on some geriatric shit. Now, take a look here. That's a 17-letter phrase, and I want you to keep that in mind because the 17th tarot card is the star, and at the very end of this video we're going to come back to this. I want to show you how it's all connected to this tarot plot that they've outlined here for Trump's presidency and so much more. Now, before we look at the Jewish values on some geriatric shit, look at the English and simple values because they're the same as President Trump and the second 9/11. Now, this is really massive in conjunction with all of that, right? And again, if you're not familiar with gematria, it's simply a form of encryption in which every letter has a numeric value. You then sum up those words or those letters, words or phrases. And then what you have is a interconnected web of concepts, ideas, insights. So look at that. Now, one of the other things that's really major with this is the fact that the Willis Tower comes up. And if you're not familiar with my video on the Willis Tower and the plot that I feel is at hand for it, I highly advise you check out the video I did. Again, it is very fascinating. It's a very large building, so large it takes up its own area code, which is the 3 6s. Of course, you drop those zeros. Now, let's keep moving here, though. Back to this. I want you to see it also references the United Nations, the concept of weather modification, something that has arguably been very heavily afoot as of late. You also see here history repeats, the last trumpet, end of the Antichrist. Again, very interesting because Don Trump actually shares coding with Antichrist as well as blood sacrifice and revelation. Now you see here as well the master Therion, that is the great beast, in the phrase all things are revealed. But one other point that I want to note here, since we're on this simple value of 198, if you invert that number, as is very common in this sort of research to invert things and look at them inverted, 891 was the number of days between the founding of the Church of Satan and the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Now, that to me is very interesting, especially with this idea of history repeats and everything that I've shown you with Don Trump and the Pez theory. Now, keep going here though, because the director of this, or wait, hold on. Before we can do that, go back here to the Jewish values, because this is really interesting. References the Satanic Hexagram, the Colony, again, just this really bizarre show that was on the Discovery Channel for a couple of years, a reality show in which people were forced to survive in a simulated post-apocalyptic environment. Of course, the first season took place in Los Angeles, 12/1 from the 12th and first letter. It's that same coding as Don Trump, Antichrist, blood sacrifice. But again, do notice that they get a nice area code with the 33 hidden at the end of it there. So jump back here though. You see these references to nuclear annihilation, satanic human beings, and Kathy Griffin. Now, this is really interesting with all of these bits on his assassination because we do keep seeing her come up. And so that, excuse me, let me type this up over here. So that image of her with him and his decapitated head came out on May 30th. Now that's interesting because a Jewish value of 530 is the same as any place. Now that ties us back to this whole Trump Illuminati card that a lot of people have inferred because of this face here. But again, at any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. And so just thinking about how that codes in with all of this, and this Kathy Griffin bit with his decapitated head is very interesting to think about. So we'll come back to that more later on here. But so notice here the director, Jordan Peele, his coding is the same as 9/11. How very interesting is that? It's also the same as Masonry, the Qliphoth. Again, this is the inverted tree of life, otherwise known as the tree of death, as well as references to VITRIOL, again, underground, finding this magical formula. You also have reference to light bearer, again, Lucifer, this whole duality thing that a lot of people want to say that this movie taps into. You have that duality in his name and the concept he's said to represent. Now, keep looking through this though. Get out, both words are 3 letters, so there's a nice 33. Again, from Crowley's Book of Lies, chapter 33 is Baphomet, so you should absolutely look into that. You can see here as well all of these ways I've broken down the title for you, but what I do really want you to see is that the English and simple values for Get Out are the same as Trump, as well as the New Age and Messages. So how very interesting that the second 9/11 is referenced to have the same coding as President Trump, and the phrase some geriatric shit in which somebody's talking about the next 9/11, the second 9/11 comes up. And then again, these recurring themes of Donald Trump that we're seeing here is very compelling. Now, a number of you have seen my Geico video, and so in that video, I was talking about the running of the bull gods, the bulldogs, the connections to Mack trucks, but these 2 hidden dates that we found in that video, the 8th of August and the 3rd of November, in between them, of course, 88 days, just like this value here for Get Out, Trump, etc. But so that date, 11/3, again, 11 times 3 gives us that 33. I really wanted to see how it lined up with the premiere of Get Out. So you see here, the movie premiered on the 24th of January, and then to the 3rd of November is actually going to be 9 months and 11 days. So here I have that for you over here, so you can really just take a look at that. It's very compelling that that lines up the way it does. 284 days. The Jewish value of 284 is 911. Written out, again, exceptionally compelling. You can see here secret satanic sororities, Comet Elenin, nuclear disaster, all these different ways that this breaks down. So there's that for you as well if you want to look at how Kathy Griffin's image of Trump decapitated lines up with that date, 5 months, 5 days, or 158 days. Again, these are massive pieces. Day of Be With Us, The Running Man, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, right? AS, first and 19th letter. It's another 119 or inverted 9/11, talking about how in 2017, the U.S. has collapsed, the economy's collapsed, everyone's, right, at each other's throats. And then you have these ideas here coming up: order from chaos, evil president, solve coagula, again, which is written on the goat of Mindy's arms. So very interesting down here when we look at geriatric shit on its own, right? Just a piece of what Rod described in the beginning. The goat of Mindy's comes up. So of course, all of that fascinating with this, because on that goat's arms, solve a coagula. Again, I've talked about this at length in the past, so I don't really want to belabor the points that I've made on it. So let's keep going here. Do notice Israel state comes up. So again, in the very beginning, Satanic Hexagram, seeing Israel come up. Of course, that being on their flag, the Star of David, another thing it's known as. Something to keep in mind. Antiochus also comes up. Now notice here, December solstice. It's going to be on the 21st of December. So nice inverted days there, 12, 21. It's a nice 33 again, depending on how you want to look at it. But so notice as well, it's said to take place at 8:28 a.m. Pacific time. That's where I'm at, so that's how I look at it. And so, of course, incredibly compelling because the English value of 828 is the same as Donald Trump, the brothers, Master Mason. And so let's get down here for it. So, of course, all of this bringing up the Beyonce information that I've shown you in the past. But the really big piece here is that it connects with this idea of the Pez theory, of the great architect, of the 911 call. All of these huge pieces that I've discussed for you at length. So I just want to show you a number of these. And again, 233 South Wacker Drive, that is the address for the Willis Tower. What you saw coded with the second 9/11 earlier. All of these pieces always coming into alignment. Again, fascinating information. So let's get back over here, though. I'll pull it up to the last one so you can see all of that. So keep moving here. English and simple values for geriatric shit. There's my name. There's Liber 77. There's all of these other major pieces that we talk about, right? Including The Economist, this cover that we're going to loop all this back to still further. But again, the apocalypse, the universe, Inuit Coptus, FEMA camp program, financial crisis. It all lines up with this, okay? So now Rod Williams, the man who says, right, talking about all this next 9/11, it's an 11-letter name. It's the lust card, so huge deal. But notice here, the prophet of destruction, as well as final United States president. Again, he's talking about some geriatric shit. President Trump, second 9/11, all things are revealed. Notice here, Illuminati 11 and love, those sharing the same coding. Of course, 11 a master magic number, especially dark magic, number of points on the Qliphoth, so on. Do notice here Rod Williams' ES values, again, major, and just looking at the different connections to Pez theory, Ralph Wiggum, Dale Gribble, but you also see thelemic order, terrorism, right, Wall Street, stock exchange, the final step. All of these, again, just massive things. So you can look into this more. Here's a little more on the Ace of Wands if you want to see it. But so, behold the coagula. This is the big scene where Chris is being mind controlled and shown that, you know, this is what's going to happen to you. Accept your fate. This is our program. So again, coagula, half of solve coagula. It's dissolution and coagulation. It's a master alchemical phrase. But so BTC does reduce down as 223 or an inverted 322. Again, skull and bones number, 16-letter tarot card, is the tower. So you can check this out here, the Jewish values, murderer, California earthquake. Again, just very interesting, thinking back to the beginning with the colony, the first season taking place in LA, a post-apocalyptic event. But in any case here, CDC flu shot, something I've been saying for a while, is the mark of the beast, the true one, in which just horrible things will come. You also see here the mind of Satan, bred to kill them. Now, the English and simple values here, just as critical. Freemasonry comes up, Mickey Mouse, again, thinking about all of this with mind control and what that fucking mouse represents, what an evil force it truly is. And so again here, seeing all these other pieces connected with shootings, general stores, what Liberty Valance is shot in front of, and the man who shot Liberty Valance, Project Main Lab, all of these huge things. So last piece I really want to show you here, Missy Armitage. This is the mother of the girlfriend who brings Chris to this just completely horrible situation. In any case, she is a hypnotherapist. She's the one who really kind of helms this, it appears. So do notice her name is 13 letters, death card, transition card. And with that, her being this hypnotherapist who leads this whole Behold the Coagula thing, it's really no surprise to see it's coded as Project Monarch. Again, the big CIA mind control program. Plenty of information for you to look into that. Notice as well, Satanic ideology, divine knowledge, the date November 9th. Again, that inverted 9/11. But as I said in the beginning, the phrase some geriatric shit being 17 letters would come back in the end of this video. So do notice here that the star, the Aeon, is the same as Missy Armitage. Now, why this is important is because on this cover, the Judgment and the Star cards are the ones that are tilted in this reading, right? And I have a whole video expanding on the different readings on this, but those two are tilted, and in the Thoth deck, as envisioned by Crowley, the Judgment card is renamed as the Aeon card, and so that's why in looking in Judgment, the Star, and alternate reading is the Aeon, the Star. And so that sharing that coding as well as with AF 141 is absolutely massive, because in Aldous Huxley's novel Brave New World, in the year AF 141, that's after Ford, is when the 9 Years' War takes place. So why all of this is so important is because when you look into coding for Judgment, the Star, how it appears here, you will notice that it is the same as the 9 Years' War, as well as Donald John Trump, Book of Revelation, the powers that be, secrets kept hidden. It's also the Rose of Beauty. Rose is the girlfriend's name in this movie. Again, all of the occult connotations, including Rosicrucians, things that we've looked into for you. Again, just infinitely, but notice all of these connections with Lady Gaga, so on and so forth. Feel free to ask me in the comments about all of this, and I'll elaborate. I really don't want to, again, belabor any of the points in this video. I want to try to keep it nice and short. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I'd say keep an eye on those dates and check out my previous videos, because I have looked ahead further than what I have forecasted for you here. So again, thank you so very much for taking the time to watch, and please, please be well.